Election amendments tabled in Parliament. Duma explains land acquisition deal. And Western Highlands Education Board says no to charging fees.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening, this is Wednesday's news. The proposed 10,000 kina nomination fee for national elections passed its first vote in Parliament today. The amendment to allow for this increase in the nomination fee was part of other election-related amendments introduced by Prime Minister Peter O'Neill.
The numbers of the coalition government again ensured that the vote for the Prime Minister-sponsored amendment was in their favour. As per parliamentary standing orders, the Prime Minister introduced the amendment that is needed for the increase to become law.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, it does not restrict any person whatsoever from, of course, standing for the elections. Candidates also try and luck that's all. Hoping that the serious candidates will meet some of their expenses as we go into the election.
Opposition leader Don Pollier argued that the proposed increase is draconian.
Now you regulate only a few candidates with the money to nominate with 10,000. Then what you find is we members of Parliament here, we're making ourselves an elitist group, the most special group, the most peculiar group with the cash, with the money we nominate. Therefore, we make sure that the others, we suppress them and they don't nominate because they cannot afford the 10,000 candidates we all can afford.
And costs should not be the reason for increasing the fee.
It is a shame. I want the Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, to you and the executive government to realize the areas that have spent so much billions of kina compared to an election of this country.
Finance Minister and leader for government business, James Marape, argued the government's case.
Our history has shown that on the eve of elections, numbers of candidates proliferate just for the sake of contesting elections, Mr. Speaker. Whether they run under political party or independent candidate is another matter. While Section 50 of the Constitution gives right to them to stand up, Mr. Speaker, it equally gives right for responsible candidates to stand up. And it is a qualified right, Mr. Speaker.
As opposition members called for debate to continue, the Speaker brought the debate to a close by calling for a vote on whether or not to continue. Following the vote to end the debate, the House voted on the amendment to increase the fee. In the end, the results was 75-14 with an absolute majority of 74. The third reading will be in the next Parliament sitting in March, and if things go the way they did today, candidates and political parties must be prepared to pay 10,000 kina as the nomination fee for this year's national election. Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
State Enterprise Minister and Hagen Open MP William Duma has denied his involvement in the 46 million kina payment by Kumul Consolidated Holdings for the relocation of the PNG-DF Langkron Naval Base. Minister Duma sought leave from the chair in Parliament today to make a statement. Duma denied his involvement in processing the payments and claimed no relation to the company alleged to have received the payments.
Minister Duma sought leave from the Speaker's chair today to explain the allegations made by Kevin MP Ben Micah yesterday. The State Enterprise and Public Investment Minister clarified that at the time of the transaction, he was not the minister responsible.
On the 21st of February 2013, again, when I was not the Minister responsible for Public Enterprises, in its decision number 46 of 2013, directed Kumul Consolidated Holdings to do everything that was necessary to facilitate the relocation of the naval base to another location outside of Port Moresby.
Duma further stated that the 46.6 million was a NEC decision on the 12th of June 2014, which he claims the Kevin MP was then the minister. In a lengthy explanation to the House this afternoon, Minister Duma says the named company is not registered under his name.
I am not a shareholder of that company. The name of the company for the information of the Honourable Member for Karaguri, Karkarambe Estates Limited, as far as I know. And we are raising questions and calling names of companies or company owned by private individuals who are not present in this chamber to defend themselves.
Duma was granted permission to present his findings to the House. However, Sinesine Yongumul MP Keranga Kua queried Minister Duma's relation to the company alleged to have received the payments.
Does the Defence Force ever have a title deed to the Lenkron base? Did they ever have a title? Number one. Not a certificate of occupancy, but a title deed. Number two, does the minister have an indirect interest in the company Kurkuram Estates Limited, an indirect interest, shareholding held in trust?
Members of the opposition are planning to bring the matter to the attention of the Ombudsman Commission tomorrow. Jack Lapave, Junior National, EMTV News.
Former Kabum MP Bob Dadai was voted by Parliament as the 10th Governor-General of Papua New Guinea today. Dadai was voted Governor-General on 55 votes after the first elimination round. He replaces Sir Michael Ogio, who has completed serving his 6-year term as the Governor-General.
The other two candidates were former Nawa MP Timothy Bonga and the first PNG Defence Force Commander Edward Ranuwadiro. They were both present in Parliament when the voting took place. Acting Speaker of Parliament John Simon read out the names of the three candidates and explained that the members of Parliament had to vote using exhaustive secret ballots. This means they were not supposed to disclose the name of the candidate they voted for.
The names of the candidates are Timothy Bonga, Bob Dadai, Edward Ranuwadiro.
From the 80 MPs that voted in the first round, former PNGDF Commander Edward Ranuwadiro received 20 votes. Timothy Bonga, 26, and Bob Dadai collected 24 votes. Edward Ranuwadiro was eliminated in the first round. The second voting saw Timothy Bonga on 36 votes, while Bob Dadai got 55 votes.
I now declare that Mr. Bob Dadai has been elected as the Parliament's nominee to occupy the office of the Governor-General.
Following his appointment today, Dadai will serve a term of 6 years as the Queen's representative in Papua New Guinea. Tekla Gunga, National, EMTV News.
The Provincial Education Board and Division of Western Highlands Province have passed a resolution that the collecting of project fees is illegal. Education advisor Knox Kiap has warned schools in the province to refrain from collecting fees or they will face disciplinary action. Kiap urged parents to notify the Board of Schools charging extra fees.
Parents and guardians queued up outside banks in Mount Hagen very early this morning to pay project fees before sending their children to school. However, Provincial Education Advisor Knox Kiap told EMTV News today that the subsidy money for the first quarter was already transferred into the school accounts and schools should refrain from collecting fees. The Education Board and the Division are in discussions with the commercial banks to prevent them from accepting any form of payments paid by parents to the school.
In the Western Highlands, maybe talk finish or maybe no like ask him or Papa Mama don't pay him any project fees. Because national government talk no got na maybe two uphan the national government work underneath the province. So when national government talk longan maybe basana point them.
PEB Chairman Lawrence Penna reiterated the Education Secretary Dr. Uke Kombra's statement that schools are receiving TFF funding should not collect project fees. He said schools who wish to collect extra fees should produce a project plan or proposal as to why they need to collect fees so that the board can give authorization.
At the moment, none of the schools, you know what one plus school present them this law? Therefore, we believe also many fees or school charge now is illegal. It's against government policy. It's against government directives. It's against any PB decision or some implement.
Meanwhile, Provincial TFF Coordinator Tom Kiap said all the schools in Western Highlands Province are on track to receive TFF funding. He said schools which have missed out on the funding in the previous years have already been sorted out to get the share this year. Kiap said schools have no excuse to charge extra fees because 2016's fourth quarter funding was given very late and they should have enough to begin the academic year.
Narbla good plus something to last year TFF grant belong final quarter belong last year. And been coming lot time where all schools like close up. Now all this money only give him long and me confirm and plenty all these schools only got all TFF belong all last year is stop yet. Now this year to advance. So me look me know that need law you mean by overcharging all Papa Mama.
Not all schools in the province are charging project fees. Hagen Secondary School is one example who discouraged parents from paying project fees. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
You're watching National EMTV News. Still to come, double murder in Port Moresby, prison break at Buimo, and remembering what used to be Lay's Taraka. Stay tuned for those stories. Welcome back. A double murder that occurred in Port Moresby last night has left citizens in the National Capital District shocked. NCD and Central Divisional Commander Sylvester Kalaut said an unmarked police vehicle, which was stolen last weekend, was used in the killings. The incident occurred at the Ella Beach area in the Moresby South electorate.
Details of the double murder are still sketchy at the moment, but according to police reports, the first deceased was traveling home when he was shot with a factory-made pistol at point blank. NCD and Central Divisional Commander Sylvester Kalaut told the media that the second deceased was also shot moments after the first murder occurred.
He was shot by point blank at Kemadec Flats. The deceased may have had dinner somewhere and he was returning home, and he was in the car when the criminals followed him from wherever he was when he came, and they followed him through the Kemadec Flats at Ella Beach. The deceased went, he parked the car and he didn't get out. He was in the car for some time, and the criminals, they followed him and they attacked him from there. And he was shot using factory-made pistols.
The two vehicles that were involved in these killings were retrieved by police. Police are treating this matter as willful murder, and Commander Kalaut has commended his men for recovering the two vehicles.
The criminals used a fifth element, and that fifth element was stolen on Saturday, and it's a police unmarked car allocated to the APEC planning team. And the criminals also stole the deceased vehicle. It's a Kia Sportage.
Police believe about 5 men are involved in this murder. One suspect is now in police custody. NCD and Central Divisional Commander Sylvester Kalaut is now appealing to NCD residents to be cautious when driving around. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
At around 12 p.m. today, a group of prisoners broke out of the Buimo prison. It is understood 2 prisoners were shot, while 5 are still at large. The Lae Metropolitan Commander, Superintendent Anthony Wagambi Jr., confirmed the breakout, but could not provide details.
Details of the breakout at present are still sketchy. It is understood 7 remandees escaped either at Buimo or on their way to Buimo. Buimo Prison Administration could not be reached for comments. The general public and vehicle drivers have been advised to keep a lookout for unknown persons. This is the 3rd breakout in 3 years. In February last year, 87 prisoners escaped. 12 were shot dead while several others were seriously injured. In 2015, 55 inmates escaped from Buimo in a breakout. A large number of these prisoners are still at large. Buimo is the 2nd largest jail in the country that was built in the colonial era. Since that time, the facility has seen little infrastructural development. There have been concerns raised over the perimeter fence at the jail after a number of breakouts that happened where a large number of prisoners escaped. Police have yet to release an official statement on the status of the breakout. Mata Luis, National EMTV News, Ley.
In Ley, it has become the most neglected suburb in the city. But at one point in the not-so-distant past, East Taraka had sealed roads, a shopping centre, cinema, a private clinic, and was a thriving business and residential area. But over the years, it has been neglected by the provincial government and city authorities. Scott White takes a look at this important suburb of Ley City.
At one point in Ley's history, East Taraka was what many would have viewed as an ideal residential area to live. The streets were well planned, the roads were sealed, and garbage collection was on time. Many of Ley's working class population lived here. This is what it looks like now. Since the 1990s, the roads have deteriorated, and today it looks more like an unplanned settlement than a city suburb.
Go back, you go forward. Through the newspaper and radio and TV, me look him. All man talk, me blow him this but in fact, low ground him no through.
East Taraka is still an important residential area, home to a large population of people who live in Ley City. In the 1980s and the 1990s, this was where thriving businesses were located. Here was where a private clinic was. This is the old post office building. Back then, it was one of the biggest functional post offices in Ley and the Morobe province. On the other side of the road was where the cinema used to be. That was a few years before television arrived in Papua New Guinea. But since the 1990s, the services stopped. The large voter population that lives here were ignored, and the roads were allowed to deteriorate. For many who grew up here, East Taraka has become a sad case of government neglect.
87 mi kam loyena milikum plasem good pla kolta stop. Australian government been putting big pla ceiling area loyena mi bla ran lo kolta go gamna or housing commission nogat one bla rabis stop.
Real estate value has plummeted, crime has risen, and business owners have fled, leaving the suburb to rot in the neglect. As the elections approach, residents have come out to question what the politicians and service providers have been doing for the last 2 decades.
Lo Buimo negosiem tapiok market iguanta bumbi olgetap olwok lo giamanimol lo sema mi pla bringing this service kam road service kam water service bakam light service bakam ogata sila promise longole empty promise ol mekim so now ya mi pla no like mol sila kain ol konman balu kam campaign na kamin lo area lo mi pla lo istraka na Buimo na tapiok market.
Scott White, National EMTV News, Ley.
PNG is amongst other Pacific Island nations to receive support in combating climate change. This is done through the U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID, Climate Ready project. This will help countries become more climate resilient. This project, at a worth of $24 million or more than 73 million kina, will see the USAID collaborate with Pacific Island governments to concentrate on areas of support that fall in with their climate adaptation plans and goals. Good news for coffee farmers in rural Papua New Guinea as export prices have gained due to droughts in Brazil, the world's largest producer of Arabica and Robusta coffee. While more work has to be done to get coffee beans from rural PNG for export, some Ley exporters say there hasn't been much activity because of the festive season. Bethany Harriman with this report.
The drop in coffee export volumes from Brazil is an opportunity for the Papua New Guinean economy to cash in. But the country still has its problems. The lack of infrastructure to support local farmers means the country will not fully capitalize on this rare chance. It's a stark reminder of the neglect previous governments had on existing infrastructures like roads and bridges. If the infrastructures were maintained and the right extension work was given to rural farmers, opportunities like this would be fully exploited. Coffee bags from parts of Morobe and the Highlands would now be in lay ready for export. Over the last 3 years, we've been doing coffee stories in rural places in Morobe like Menyamya, Kabum, Wasu and Nawai. In the Eastern Highlands province, Marawaka, these are examples of places that can contribute to coffee exports in a big way. But what's consistent about these places is they need the infrastructure support. They need roads, bridges to get the coffee bags to lay for export. Coffee export has contributed consistently to Papua New Guinea's export revenue, 1 million bags a year. Last year, 500 million kina was made, but it is shadowed by the billion kina extractive industry. Last year, PNG learned some hard lessons when oil and mineral prices dropped and put the country through cash flow problems. It showed the need for a diversified economy. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Ley.
And now looking at our finance news, the kina closed unchanged at $0.3150 in the interbank markets. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3075, $0.4031 Australian dollars, $0.2825 euro and 34.44 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee and copra closed lower, while cocoa closed the day higher. Crude oil closed lower, while palm oil and copper closed the day higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 107.04 points lower. The ASX is trading at 32.25 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 29.01 points higher. You're at Wednesday's news. We'll be back with stories making headlines overseas. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. In overseas news, a university student has been charged in a fatal shooting that killed 6 people at a Canadian mosque. Police have not established a motive, but the 27-year-old was a supporter of far-right views.
Heavy police presence at the mosque as investigators continue to learn more about the events leading up to Sunday's deadly shooting. It left 6 people dead, including 57-year-old Azzedine Sofian, who witnesses say heroically tried to stop the gunman by charging at him.
The attacker was more quick, and with his gun, he shot at him directly in his body, and this is why he was dead.
Officials updated the condition of the many others who were wounded. 4 of the 19 remain in hospital, 2 in critical condition.
Mainly it's major abdominal injuries caused by gunshots.
The suspect, Alexandre Bissonnette, a Laval University student, is accused of gunning down the man during evening prayers. He was known for being an online troll who espoused anti-feminist and anti-refugee views. He also expressed support for French nationalist Marine Le Pen and U.S. President Donald Trump. The RCMP searched through the records at this rifle range. Bissonnette was an avid hunter. And those who knew him as a child say he seemed normal, but grew into a troubled young man.
He was an outsider, that's for sure. He dressed differently, he behaved differently.
In a province with a long debated religious accommodation, today the Premier was asked if the situation in Quebec was unique.
It would be a mistake to say that racism, xenophobia, Islamophobia does not exist in Quebec. Of course it does exist in Quebec. It exists in all societies, unfortunately.
This afternoon, a moment of silence at Laval University, where one of the dead worked as a professor. And efforts are underway to raise money for the victims' families, some leaving behind young children.
We've heard about the confusion and the chaos at U.S. airports after U.S. President Donald Trump signed his executive order on immigration late last week. Now we're hearing from others around the world, including Iraqis who have risked their lives for the U.S. Now some of them have nowhere to go.
Country of Michigan,
Bags packed, U.S. visas and passports, Omar and his family are ready to go. But they're not going anywhere following President Trump's temporary travel ban, which includes Iraq. It was a strong shock, he says. We received visas after waiting 3 years. Then this order comes. The Iraqi branch of Al-Qaeda planted a bomb in his car in 2009. It blew both his legs off and mangled his left hand. They targeted him because he provided the U.S. Marines and Iraqi police with intelligence on the terrorists in his hometown of Fallujah. They were planning bombs, he recalls, aimed at innocent people, the Americans, the Iraqi army, the police. Omar, his wife, and 4 children received visas under a special program for Iraqis who worked for or helped the Americans. In letters of recommendation, Marine officers praised his sacrifice and unyielding courage, commendable traits which have now left him and his family in danger. I have no future in Iraq, and my children have no future, he says. If they go back to Fallujah, they'll be under threat. People will say, your father is Omar, and kill them. And your kids, they're still too young to go to school, right? Van was a translator for the U.S. Army. That's the nickname American soldiers gave him, not his real name. He doesn't want to show his face for fear of retribution from Iraqi extremists. For now, also out of fear it will jeopardize an American visa application he submitted 7 years ago. He has a simple message for President Trump.
He should go and ask the soldiers, is that the right way to do it? Is that the right thing to leave somebody behind? No.
Van received a letter containing a bullet and a threat a few years ago. Stop working with the Americans or else. He moved his family 3 times and keeps a low profile.
I want to stop looking behind when I walk on the street. That's all I want.
He wonders if he'll have to keep looking behind for the rest of his life.
You're with National EMTV News. Chukai Sports is up next with Oil Search supporting the Rugby League World Cup, new co-captains for the SP PNG Hunters, and the latest in PNG national football news. Don't go away.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. Oil Search PNG has partnered with the Rugby League World Committee as an official platinum partner. As an official platinum partner, Oil Search will have branding presence that will be seen in over 110 countries where the World Cup will be shown.
General Manager Commercial and Marketing Rohan Sawyer says they are happy to have Oil Search partner with the tournament organizers. The Rugby League World Cup played in Papua New Guinea will bring excitement and great enthusiasm to the tournament.
It's an exciting year for Rugby League in Papua New Guinea. We're bringing the Rugby League World Cup here, which will no doubt be the biggest event in sport. Not only the biggest event in sport, but probably the biggest event in Papua New Guinea in 2017.
Sawyer added, the Rugby League World Cup organising committee expects the 3 Kumul's matches to be played in front of a sold-out crowd.
We see it as an organising committee as a truly world-class facility, one of the best facilities that we've seen on a new scale, purpose-built for Rugby League. And not only are we excited to bring Rugby League World Cup here to the venue, we're actually excited to bring the world and teams here to play Rugby League during 2017.
Oil Search Managing Director Peter Borton says they are thrilled to partner with the tournament organisers to bring the prestigious event to the country. Just like the Pacific Games in 2015, Oil Search partnered with the Pacific Games Committee and took the relay baton around the country. This year, they plan to do the same for the Rugby League World Cup.
We're going to do the same thing with the Rugby League World Cup, and we believe as the national game, being able to take the World Cup round many places in Papua New Guinea to go out to the villages, to go out to many of the remote places when very few people have that ability to attend a game.
Coach of the PNG Comals, Michael Marung, speaking on behalf of the team, says playing at home in a World Cup is a privilege.
From our days in playing, we've always played away, but to bring the World Cup games just to the country, it just means a lot to the fans and supporters, sponsors out there. So.
Ticket prices and on-sale details for the 3 World Cup matches in Port Moresby will be announced in due course. Elijah Levitt, National EMTV Sports.
The SP Hunters 2017 Intra Super Cup season was launched last night at SP Brewery. During the launching, the captain for the 2017 season was announced by Chairman Graham Osborne.
This captain is
Ase Boas, who has been with the team since the start in 2014, was appointed captain. In Wellington, Albert, who spent 2 years playing for the Penrith Panthers under-20 team and made a comeback to join the Hunters this season, was appointed vice-captain.
We've been playing some leadership role in the team through the pre-season until now, so we've been appointed as a vice-captain and captain. It's been an honor for both of us.
For myself, it's first time to being a leader in a team, so I'm looking forward to work under him and work with the boys as well, because we got Israel and David Loco and a lot of boys as a leader in the team as well.
Both players were surprised, saying they did not expect to be appointed to the team's lead role.
Like I said, like Wellington and we didn't expect to be called up as a captain and vice captain. We were shocked tonight that we haven't had a clue that we're going to be captain and vice captain.
The newly appointed captains are looking forward to the season and are ready to lead the team this year.
So the boys really put in to make the final cut for this year, and I think the boys pushed through, and we believe this year will be a good year for us because all the boys were really fit, and we look forward for this year.
I got few tips on that, so I'm working towards it and be a good leader, I suppose. Yeah.
Elijah Levitt, National EMTV Sports.
The PNG men's national football team coach, Flamen Seretslev, says that he is content with the current preparations of the train-on squad. These comments were made amidst concern over the notable absence of a number of key players, although Seretslev is adamant that the focus is on getting the best out of his available crop of talent.
Only 9 weeks remain until Papua New Guinea face Francophone side Tahiti in what is undoubtedly a massive test to the nation's credibility as a powerhouse in Pacific football. Wins over the Solomon Islands and Samoa, as well as draws against Tahiti and New Caledonia, and reaching their maiden final after 4 decades, the nation had fought hard to earn their top-tier mantle. However, 7 months on, and the national team is almost starting from scratch with the blood in of new faces, as Flamen Seretslev looks for additional options.
Yeah, actually, as it looks by now, we don't have our normal left side with Koya Kopaiga and Tommy Semi, so we really have to prepare to put in other players.
Whilst media reports have stated that 9 players from PNG champions Hikari United are unavailable at present, with speculation that OFC Champions League duties have pulled them away, the Dane remains unfazed and says that he will work with what he has at present.
No, I'm not hoping for anything. I just saw in the papers yesterday that those players have made their own decision that they don't want to come here into the camp for the national team. And I just have to leave it there and then find some other players who really are burning for helping their country and who really will fight for the country.
There is notable concern though. Left defender Roland Bala has suffered a suspected medial cruciate tear in his left knee and is expected to be out for up to 2.5 months.
It'll be possible for him. We don't know at the moment. We have had him examined by our doctor. We will have him examined once again when his knee is not so swollen on Friday, and then hopefully we will find out what is the real case with his knee.
The current training camp is scheduled to conclude on Sunday, and Seretslev is already preparing for the next session, which he hopes will be soon. As with no full squad at hand, and without a steady National Soccer League competition, the regiment that he has created and planned meticulously may be the only football many of these players may see until that March qualifier. Jeremy Moggy, National TV Sports.
The man behind the formation of the existing National Soccer League, John Capinato, has begun awareness in Ley to form a new soccer body. The new soccer league in PNG will break away from the existing PNG Football Association. Capinato, in a gathering in Ley last Friday, announced his plan. He is currently carrying out a nationwide awareness to form the association. Morobe soccer associations, including the biggest association in PNG, the Ley Football Association, and the rural associations, have pledged their support. To football, Brisbane-based striker George Sleffendorfus is hopeful of a spot in the senior men's national team after being named in the train-on squad for PNG's World Cup qualifying campaign. The 27-year-old has said he will do his best to ensure he gets his second call-up in national colours after previously representing the country under former coach Winton Rufa.
Hi, my name's George Sleffendorfus. I'm currently living in Melbourne, Australia, and playing with the local club Geelong SC, and I'm 29 years of age.
Having played football from an early age, Sleffendorfus has been quite content with his career to date, and the chance to continue playing at a high level has been a motivating factor for him.
Yeah, definitely. With the boys we have here, yeah, it's definitely a lot of pressure off, just because, you know, they're quick, they're fit, and just a lot of speed. It's unbelievable.
Of Lithuanian descent with a Papua New Guinean mother, George Sleffendorfus is now enjoying his second stint with the national team, having trained under previous coach Winton Rufa and current head of the squad, Flemin Siritzlev.
Pioneer again, it's well blocked.
Watching the country's performance during the OFC Nations Cup, where hosts Papua New Guinea would make their first ever final appearance, was an inspiring moment for him.
Here's a foul.
Watched it all. Yeah, I had to watch it live, obviously. Definitely very touching. I mean, coming from the status of the boys and, you know, where they come from to, you know, where they're going, you know, for the future of these boys, you know, if they can, you know, stick it out together, look, and bring other experienced guys in, look, I'm sure we can go a long way.
Tahiti on the 23rd of March will be an important match for Papua New Guinea, and Sleffendorfus believes that while their opponents deserve respect, the hosts have nothing to fear as well.
Yeah, look, it's so what I hear and what I've seen. All these island teams are, you know, incredibly talented. So look, I feel if all the boys can come together, you know, stick to our structure and the way we play, you know, I can't see, you know, us winning it. It's you know, if we stay true and I guess disciplined, I'm sure we can go all the way.
The striker is hopeful of a spot in national coach Siritzlev's final 23-man squad, which is set to be announced in mid-February, and says it would be an honor and an opportunity which he would grab with both hands.
I'm here to win and, you know, train as hard as I can. Yeah, winning, yeah.
Jeremy Moggy, National TV Sports.
You're watching True Kai Sports. More sports news when we come back. Stay tuned.
True Kai Sports.
Welcome back to True Kai Sports. The Papua New Guinea Olympic Committee and High Performance Sport PNG recently hosted an Oceania Sport Education Program refresher workshop for representatives from different sporting bodies around the country. Representing Triathlon PNG was coach and president of New Marinville Triathlon Club, Terence Tohick. The Community Coaches and Officials course aims to educate coaches and officials at the grassroots level to better coordinate and manage sports clubs they are involved with. With the day job of a sports and physical education teacher at Marinville Secondary School, Mr. Tohick feels in order to enhance sports in the country, such workshops should be held in all provinces to achieve better results. Tohick believes this program will go a long way as it educates on how to organize community sports. He added the modules taught us simple sports and easy to follow. Auckland-based Super Rugby team Blues will take a historic Super Rugby match to Samoa in June. The Blues will play their home game against the Queensland Reds in the Samoan capital Apia on Friday, June 2nd. It'll be the first Super Rugby match to be played on the island nation, home to an estimated 190,000 population. Interestingly, the Blues team has 15 players with Samoan heritage, including head coach Tana Umanga. The match will coincide with Samoa's 55th independence celebrations. Heavyweight boxers Anthony Joshua and Vladimir Klitschko have been promoting their upcoming unification fight. The World Heavyweight Championship title unification bout will be staged on April 29 at Wembley Stadium in London, where 90,000 spectators are expected to attend.
IBF heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua and former heavyweight champion Vladimir Klitschko spoke to journalists at the Mecca of Boxing, Madison Square Garden in New York City. Klitschko said he is obsessed with regaining his world heavyweight crown with a goal to become three-time world champion. Both fighters will challenge for Joshua's International Boxing Federation title and the vacant World Boxing Association Super and IOB heavyweight bouts.
We're respectful to each other, we're respectful to the sport and to the fans. And you know what? It pays off. It pays off because that's going to polish this amazing sweet science.
Since turning professional, the London Olympic champion Joshua has taken the division by storm, winning all his 18 fights by knockout.
I think God would ever put me in a position that I couldn't handle. So I'm here for a reason, and I'll handle business the same way I've been handling business. And even though we're in front of 90,000 people and the world watches, the objective still remains the same, and that's to be victorious.
Meanwhile, former champion Klitschko, turning 41 in March, has 64 wins and 4 defeats in his illustrious 20-year boxing career. Although the fight will be a signature fight for both of them, they appeared relaxed, having healthy and normal conversations with each other. Klitschko, Ukrainian by heritage, was unbeaten for 11 years before losing to Britain's Tyson Fury in 2015. Shane Soroya, EMTV World Sports.
And that's a wrap on True Kai Sports. Up next, the weather details for the next 24 hours. Stay with us.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Looking at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region, showers and rain with thunderstorms in Port Moresby, Daru, Kerema, Alotau and Popondetta. In the Momase region, showers and rain with thunderstorms in Lae and showers and rain in Medang, Wewak and Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, showers and thunderstorms in Lorengau, Kavieng, Kokopo and Rabaul, showers and rain in Kimbe and showers and rain with thunderstorms in Buka. And in the Highlands region, thundery rain showers then expected, morning fog in Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg. Forecast for small ships for the next 24 hours, all coastal waters of Papua New Guinea, seas of 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Ocean forecast for PNG areas in the Coral Sea, seas light with west to southwest winds at 10 to 15 knots. In the Solomon Sea, seas light with southeast to southwest winds at 10 to 15 knots. In the Bismarck Sea, seas light to moderate with southeast to southwest winds at 10 to 20 knots. And in the Pacific Ocean, seas light with northeast winds at 10 to 15 knots.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Now recapping our main stories for tonight. Election amendments tabled in Parliament. Duma explains land acquisition deal, and Western Highlands Education Board says no to charging fees. And that's been the news, sports and weather for tonight, Wednesday, the 1st of February 2017. From the entire EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.